Hello everyone and Merry Christmas! Welcome to another Christmas here at GavsWeatherVids. So happy Christmas to all of you and thank you so much for tuning in on this Christmas Day of 2024. We're going to be bringing you another historic video for this Christmas Day. This year we are looking at the winter of 1837-1838. It's a direct follow-on from the video that we did last Christmas, looking at the classic white Christmas of 1936 and the winter of 1926-1927, as well as the extremely, I think, coldest spring on record from 1937 as well. And I said that we would, do like a double bill, if you like, 2 Christmases back to back, 1836, 1837, and then this year, 1837, 1838, which does include a severely cold January. So plenty of eye candy for cold is coming up in a moment. I should get on that for you in a second. Just say that you're enjoying the content on the channel at the moment. You like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. And again, thank you so much everyone for tuning in on this Christmas Day. It's unbelievable. I'm always blown away by the time that you share with me, here on the channel on your precious Christmas Day. So thank you so much to each and every one of you. Hope you're all having a lovely day. So I'm going to say thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to our Wetter as well. Those two resources, the charts from Wetter and the information from Trevor, although it's not much actually to go on for this one. I'm going to be earning my keep on this one, but the charts from Trevor, the charts from Wetter and, the information from Trevor, that's what makes the videos really. So thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to the Historic Archive of Charts at Wetter. You can find the link in the description with the video. And thank you so much and Merry Christmas to Richard, to the amazing Richard Traut, for our lovely Christmas Day gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it so much, my friend. Hey, having a lovely Christmas. I think we'd better do your Christmas Day historically. I got me tie on today, so Gav can scrub up all right, can't he? Anyway, never mind about that. Let's crack on with the video. So we're going to start off in September. We always start off, of course, when we're looking at winter in the autumn, so we can pick up some little sneaky peekies in the autumn proceeding. So we're beginning here on the 1st of September. Now, all I've got to go on for September 1837 is that it has a central temperature of 12.5, so there's nothing else to work with, and that's the case for most of the months. The only month that I've actually got any notes for, anything to work with, is January. So I'm really going to be earning my money's worth, I think, on this one. Anyway, we begin on the 1st of September 1837, which looks like it was a Friday, and unsettled and cool under a trough of low pressure. 12.5 is quite a chilly CET for September, actually. So let's see what happens. Low pressure then on the second moving away, and we get a little transient ridge trying to build up from the southwest, but it looks like a pretty cool start to September there, I have to say. Certainly not much sign of a September heatwave. A bit of a ridge from the Azores to the Scandinavian high might have lifted temperatures up a bit, but the overhead temperatures look pretty lowly there, I have to say. Now, beyond that, we head on into the second week of September. That ridge very quickly breaks down, and low pressure then coming in from off the Atlantic, or low pressure north, high pressure to the south. So we're going into a westerly flow here for the second week of September. All in all, looking pretty unsettled, I have to say. You would assume these areas of low pressure would be bringing some quite wet weather in from off the Atlantic at times. That's the 13th of September, and we're under a dartboard low then. Oh dear. Looking properly cool, wet and windy. Those upper air temperatures certainly don't look much to get excited about there. Now, beyond that, into the middle of September, we've still got low pressure north, high pressure to the south, so continuing to look unsettled. I'll be going to get some higher pressure. Let's see. So the Azores is trying to get itself going here through the third week of September, trying to turn things a bit drier and warmer, but overall still these areas of low keep coming off the Atlantic. Now, this is a bit of a change. This is 21st of September into the third week of the month. High pressure building over Scandinavia at 1,025 millibars, trying to pull wind around to the east. In fact, we do block off the Atlantic here, 22nd, 23rd, got a proper area of high pressure. I don't even bring much warmth. Actually, the upper air temperature look quite chilly already. It's only September, but a bit of a chill, I think, to those easterly winds there. Via that Scandinavian high at 1,030 millibars. Is that a teaser for the winter? Well, we'll find out a little bit later on whether the cold weather in this winter happens from the north or from the east. But that's a proper easterly that we've got going there on the 24th of September. Winds in from the east. And again, we are putting some pretty cool air in for the time of the year. I mean, it's only 24th September. Time of the year, we are bringing some pretty cool air in from the east. So I'd imagine that would have felt quite bracing, to say the least, over on the east coast. Now, the high pressure is sort of sinking through the country, is going to the latter stages of September. So it's mostly dry, probably quite cold under that area of high pressure. I would not be at all surprised if there was some very early season ground frost going on last week of September under that area of high pressure. That's how the upper air temperature look a little bit less chilly here by the last day of the month. But overall, it's a cool September, a wet first half and a drier second half. Now, let's push on into October. So, for what we've got to go on for October, in my notes, is that it has a centering temperature of 10.5, which is quite close to the modern day average. So, again, let's see how that happens. Probably quite mild, I would have thought, for this era back in the middle of the 1800s. So anyway, we start off with high pressure south, low pressure to the north. Scandinavian high sort of collapsed and slipped over towards, the Black Sea. High pressure ridging from the Azores into France, and will bring up a southwest wind. So a milder or a warmer sort of first half to October here. Upper air temperature looking a little bit milder, particularly so down in the south. Now we move on to the 4th, 5th of October through the first week of the month. Classic westerly setup. Low pressure north, high pressure south. That brings unsettled weather into the north. Mostly dry down in the south. But you would have thought probably quite mild down in the south as well. We've got plus 10 Celsius iceberg there. Some parts of England, so that probably getting the temperature into the mid to upper teens Celsius. So after the chill of September, I think early October yields some drier and potentially rather warmer weather as well. Going into the second week of October, again, we've got a nice extension from the Azores high, which looks like a mostly dry and pretty mild first sort of 10 days to October, especially so down the south. Probably always a bit more unsettled up in the north. That's the 11th of October. Nice extension from the Azores high, building up towards, well, that's actually the Siberian high, lurking into Russia. Upper air temperature again looking pretty mild there, quite warm, really, and I would imagine a lot of dry. Of course, this is in the Victorian era, though, so what we're going to account for with this is that, we might be seeing a lot of fog at this point under that area of high pressure and whatnot. The air might be a little bit dirtier, but it wouldn't be as bad as it would be later on in the 1800s, I don't suppose. But nevertheless, this sort of scenario that today would be quite a warm and dry, situation and scenario. Back then, perhaps a rather cooler scenario. Now we've got a big area of high pressure right over top of the country. 12th of October, 1,013 millibars, so high and dry, and that carries on into the middle part of the month as well. It looks like a very dry first half to September, October. So we have a very wet first half of September, followed by a dry and chilly second half to September. And then we have a much drier and potentially quite warmish sort of first half to October here. So an unusual autumn. Now, it's going to be followed by a very cold winter. We'll get to that in a moment. Right, well, we're up to 17th of October, a long time before my birthday in 1977. Still about high pressure, though, keeping a lot of dry weather going. In fact, are we going to get any low pressure through this October? It does look as though it's an exceptionally dry month, I have to say. Again, it's really difficult to know about the temperature. Technically, if this happened now, if these charts occurred, in 2025 next year, this would be a very warm and very dry October. But then it perhaps isn't as warm as it would appear based on the synoptic scenario, particularly if there is light fog getting going with these persistent areas of high pressure. Anyway, we're up to the 23rd of October, and it looks like we've got a bit of a change. A high pressure is now starting to weaken. Lower pressure, not necessarily low pressure, but lower pressure beginning to develop in the North Atlantic, and I reckon this could take us into a much more unsettled close to the month. So that's the 27th of October, coming up to month's end. Low pressure's formed over Scandinavia, high pressure drifted back to the Azores. We're bringing in a rather coolish kind of northerly flow, and we're turning unsettled as well, with outbreaks of rain developing. So the last week of the month, after what looks like an exceptionally dry October, I have to say overall, but the last week of the month looks a lot cooler and a lot more unsettled. Winds in from the north. Is that a teaser for the winter, I wonder? Okay, well, let's push on into November. So for November, all I've got to work with is that has a CET of 5.2, which is pretty chilly. Would be, you know, that would be cold by today's standards. Back then, probably it's close to average, really, for November. But we don't get many Novembers these days with CETs in the 5, so this is quite a cold November by modern standards. We start it with low pressure in the North Sea. We're bringing quite a cold northwesterly to northerly wind. Then low pressure deepens into Scandinavia through to the 2nd and the 3rd of November, keeping those winds in from a generally chilly, quite cold northern direction. -5 Celsius ice is into northern parts of Scotland, probably bringing some wintry showers up there. Milder up towards bonfire night though, so high pressure starts building from the Azores again, back in the wind around to a milder southwesterly, although the upper temperature is still a bit on the cool side actually, and probably mostly dry down in the south under this ridge, but again we see outbreaks of rain potentially in the north. What I have noticed so far is a distinct lack of storminess. There really hasn't been much in way of storminess at all through this autumn so far, has there? We're up to the 7th of November now. A lot of high pressure influences. That's the 8th of November. Again, looking at bread temperatures, you know, they're not particularly cold, probably close to average. But again, none of this high pressure have to factor in this era, in 1837, potentially we're getting quite a lot of fog developing under that ridge of high pressure. Through the second week of the month, we keep high pressure generally to the south, low pressure to the north. Looks like a very cold November for Scandinavian Nordic regions, and about persistent trough of low pressure. By the way, that's probably building up the snow cover and the cold, and you know, maybe laying the groundwork and the foundations for the winter to come. We're up to the middle of November now, under some sort of little transient ridge, but overall it looks like quite an unsettled pattern that we got going here. We're trying to build up a Scandinavian high, interesting, on the 16th of November. Upper air temperatures have now become cold from the east, withdrawing cold air from the east, and probably brought some snow showers into eastern parts of the country with those easterly winds as well. 17th, 18th of November, keeping it cold generally under higher pressure as well. Being -5 Celsius, beginning to retreat away to the northeast. But overall, I think this is still a pretty cold scenario into the second half of the month as well. Now, this looks milder though. We get into the 20th of November, and we're into a westerly then. So again, that Scandinavian high was only brief, only a teaser maybe, and then it's gone, and we're back into those milder westerly winds. And this is a genuine push of mild air now, coming in from off the Atlantic with these yellow colours in across England and Wales. Okay, well, let's come up towards the end of the month, and we're in a more unsettled scenario, so wetter and windier conditions. But again, not particularly stormy, I have to say, with outbreaks of rain in places. That's the 25th of November, a month before Christmas. Again, high pressure is ridging back up from the southwest once more. Let's get to month's end. We go colder. We end the month as we start it, with low pressure generally to our east, bringing down a northerly flow. -5 Celsius ice firm again is through the country. This time probably brings snow showers into northern parts of Scotland. That's how we end this topsy-turvy November, and pretty topsy-turvy autumn, I have to say, with lower pressure coming back in from off the Atlantic, and the upper air temperatures looking a bit milder as the coldest of the air retreats away to the north. Right, well, that's going to get us, everyone, to December. So we're going to go into first day of December, which again looks like it's Friday, the 1st of December here. And all I have to go on for December is it has a central temperature of 5.3, which is quite interesting because that is actually 0.1 of a degree above November. So this is one of the unusual years where December is actually mild, albeit there's only 0.1 of a degree in it. But December is actually milder than the November before it. So let's see what happens, shall we? And we start off again with low pressure in the North Atlantic, bring up a southwest wind. 5.3, by the way, probably quite a mild December, especially for this era. For now, in 2024, 5.3 would be a pretty chilly December. But for back then, in 1837, that's probably quite a mildish December. Really. So here we go for the first week of month. Higher pressure again building over to the east country. We're back into anticyclonic conditions, bringing a lot of dry weather, probably quite a lot of fog at this point, and high pressure again trying to get Scandinavia. That is a repeating pattern, isn't it, that we're seeing? That could well be a teaser for January. But as it is, we've got high pressure trying to get Scandinavia backing towards the Siberian high, centered around here. Winds are in from the east. Upper air temperature showing a puddle of not overly cold, really, but chilly air coming in with those east winds, probably enough to bring some wintry showers into the south and to the southeast. That's how we look on the 6th of December. We have got an easterly wind and a Scandinavian high. Again, it doesn't look a particularly cold easterly. People today will be moaning on the forums that there's no cold air to tap into, but that will change later on in the winter. We're only at the start of it, remember. But yeah, pretty cold easterly wind, and something of a Scandinavian high again, which is a repeating pattern through these months preceding the coldest part of the winter. Now, that's the 8th of December, so now we're starting to try and bring some much colder air into the far north of Europe, so that's something to keep an eye on. But this area of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic actually brings some milder upper air temperatures in, with -5 Celsius iceberg is going back into retreat to the north once again. That's the 9th through to the 10th of December, very close to turning really cold here. Look at how the -10, -15 Celsius iceberg have blown southwards into Europe. We're kind of on the periphery of it, but under the area of high pressure we are quite cold. That's our first attempt. Let's go back there to the 9th of December. That high pressure between Scotland and Iceland, that is the first attempt of the winter to start bringing some really properly cold air, some bitterly cold air from the north. I don't think it's going to happen this time, but again, this could be a teaser later on in winter. That's the 11th of December under the ridge of high pressure over to the east of the country, and again we've got this really cold air sitting across northern and increasingly eastern parts of Europe as well. We're just keeping it at bay by this ridge of high pressure, not quite allowing ourselves to tap in to that very cold air. This is quite a cold first half to December, I think, with this area of high pressure. But now up to the 14th of December, the high pressure begins to slip towards Germany, allowing low pressure and milder air start coming in from the southwest. So all of a sudden we get to mid-December and much milder. The coldness of the air going back into retreat to the northeast and also sinking down into the eastern side of Europe as well, as these mild upper air temperatures start heading their way in off the Atlantic. So milder but wetter and windier around the middle part of December, with winds in from the southwest, and that carries on into the second half of the month as well. This one's a lot livelier, I have to say. Up to this point we haven't seen any particularly stormy weather, but I reckon this might be yielding some gale force winds with these areas of low pressure. Well, let's get to Christmas, see what that shows. So again, we have an attempt here on 21st of December at getting high pressure towards Scandinavia, and whilst it has been mild for us, actually the cold air has just got more and more severe across much of Europe. So there we are on the 21st of December. Most parts of Europe are actually completely plunged into the freezer. We've got minus 15 Celsius iceberg there covering most parts of northern Europe, and the minus 20 Celsius iceberg is actually lurking through western parts of Russia and into what would now class as the Baltic Sea states, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. So extremely cold now as this next attempt at Scandinavian high is beginning to get going. But again, that one doesn't come to anything either, not for us anyway, as low pressure comes in again from off Atlantic on the 27th of December, dragging up that milder, wetter and windier weather in with it. Christmas, here we go, this is Christmas Eve, 1837. Not the sign of a white Christmas from the year before. This one is very mild, I think, with winds in from the southwest, outbreaks of rain. Look at those upper air temperatures in those yellow colours. That's a mild Christmas Eve, and it's a mild Christmas Day as well. Again, weather systems will be bringing outbreaks of rain. It's an unsettled Christmas, not dry, but it's wet and mild for the Christmas of 1837 here. That's Boxing Day. So that's Christmas Day, 1837. High pressure through Spain, low pressure around Iceland, a flat westerly flow, and outbreaks of rain would be likely or showers. And that's Boxing Day, rounding off what looks like a mild or, really a very mild Christmas, particularly compared to Christmas before it when we had all of that snow in 1836. This one is a much milder Christmas. Okay, let's move towards the new year then, and we've got high pressure here, the Siberian high lurking across western parts of Russia, well away from us. We maintain the mild and unsettled southwesterly winds. That's the 30th of December, that's New Year's Eve. Not much sign of the severely cold January to come. New Year's Eve still bathing us in those mild upper air temperatures from the southwest. That's how we look as we get into New Year's Day. And New Year's Day 1838 is also mild, and this month has a central temperature of minus 1.5, so it is a sub-zero CET January, severely cold CET January. Obviously, things are going to have to change big time to get a CET like that from where we are on the first day of month, on New Year's Day. So let's see how that happens, shall we? Let's get to the call. That's what you're all waiting for. So the opening days of January 1838 looking generally very mild, with low pressure just to the west, bringing in these southwesterly winds, outbreaks of rain, and a nice mild Atlantic-driven flow. Now, we're getting to the 5th of January, signs of a bit of a change as high pressure builds over and to the east of the country. Low pressure still maintained out to west. It's still mild up to this point. Look at the upper air temperatures. They've cooled down from where it was on New Year's Day, but they're not cold. Most parts of northern Europe don't have much in the way of cold air either, to be honest. So obviously going to have to be a dramatic change. This is the 6th of January. This is the start of it, I think. So that high pressure has been lurking to the northeast. The Siberian high, basically, is now pushing into Scandinavia, and it's blocking off the Atlantic, switching the wind around to the east. Now, at this point, you have to factor in that we've probably got quite a mild CET, and we're going to finish up at minus 1.5. So things are going to have to become very dramatic here, and we see the first signs of colder air just beginning to move in from the east there on those easterly winds, courtesy of that Scandinavian high through the 6th to the 7th of January. So there we go. We have now fully formed, 7th of January, fully formed a beautiful Scandinavian high. That's absolutely perfect, in a perfect position at 1,045 millibars, perfect orientation as well. Again, we see a direct easterly. The air is originating from the Urals with that easterly, and all of a sudden, much colder air is now surging out of Russia and sweeping across most of Western Europe. So there wasn't much sign of it on New Year's Day, but within a week, it's into the freezer we go. That gets us through to the 8th of January, then direct easterly. Upper air temperature looking bitterly cold, by 10 Celsius iceberg sweeping in from Russia and Eastern Europe across the west of Europe as well. Those east winds will be bringing a lot of heavy snow showers in with them as well, maybe even longer spells of snow down in the south. It looks like there's some sort of disturbance here with slight kinks in the ice bars pushing across southern areas from the 8th into the night. Bitterly cold upper air temperatures, absolutely freezing cold with temperatures, air temperature between -10 and -15 degrees at 850 HPA. A proper beast from the east unleashed. So this severely cold January kinks are via and courtesy of a Scandinavian high. That's the 10th of January, so now the isobars are opening out, and we're probably seeing a snow risk easing off a little bit, though we have got a deep cold pool that's sitting there across the southeast, probably bringing snow the south and southeast, but there will also be severe cold now at this point, I think. Daytime temperatures around or below freezing all day. Nighttime temperatures probably going into minus double digits. So let's crack on a little bit further, because things are actually going to get even colder, though, as we go further on. Things are going to get even colder as we go further on. That's the 11th of January. Ice bars opening out, but then we go back into those easterly winds again on the 12th through to the 13th of January. So this is a persistent, locked-in Scandinavian high. These days, that will very quickly collapse down to the Balkans, and we go back into a southwesterly southerly within a couple of days. But this high pressure, this Scandinavian high, is absolutely rooted over Scandinavia, and it's keeping those bitterly cold easterly winds going. That's how the upper air temperature look on the 13th of January. Again, we've got the -10 cells iceberg here flirting with England and Wales anyway. All parts of Europe looking bitterly cold. Again, there's some sort of upper level trough there, I think, on the 14th of January, probably bringing, again, more in way of persistent snow. And look how cold the upper air temperatures are day after day, with those upper air temperatures at or below -10 at 850 HPA. So consistent bitter cold weather, and of course plenty of snow coming through as well. We're up to the middle of January 1838 with lower pressure now trying to head in from off the Atlantic. The upper air temperature show that the colds of the air beginning to retreat a little bit. I've got some less cold air lurking just to the southwest. Is this the start of a milder interlude? No, because actually we get through the 16th of January, and that Scandinavian high is just re-strengthening and reforming itself. And it's all hooking back, you'll notice, to the Siberian high, which is something we don't get very often these days. But this winter, it's like Scandinavian high, but it's like a Siberian high, but it's like the instigator, consistently reaching and re-strengthening itself into Scandinavia, which is an unusual pattern. Look at the upper air temperature there on the 17th of January. Renewed surge of bitterly cold air out of the west of Russia, out of the Urals, and flooding from east to west across the northern parts of Europe. This will be bringing more heavy snow in from the east on those easterly winds, especially so the southern and eastern parts of the country. Maybe not that much snow for Scotland and Ireland, I have to say, with this winter, but I reckon this is one of those winters, or January's anyway, where the snow is really piling up across southern and eastern parts of England. Well, check out those upper air temperatures there on the 18th of January. Absolutely into the freezer. Got the -15 Celsius iceberg sweeping eastwards across England, whereas the -20 Celsius iceberg is sitting over Germany, the Low Countries and northern parts of Europe. This will be an exceptionally cold, brutally cold winter through most parts of Europe. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what a severely cold sub-zero CET January looks like. We don't get them these days. Our last one was 1979, when I was 2 and a bit, in January 1979, 2 years, 4 months old. I don't remember it, but this is what a severely cold sub-zero CET January looks like. Again, check out those upper air temperatures, brutally cold across most parts of Europe, and the cold really is across the north and the west of Europe in particular. -5 Celsius iceberg is through into the west of Europe. Now, I'm going to read you a little bit from Trevor Harley. We haven't heard much from Trevor, have we, in this video? But I have got a little bit for the 20th of January. So, Trevor Harley writes, very cold January with a CET of -1 0.5. But 20th of January was one of the coldest days of the century. Remember, this is the 19th century. In London, the maximum on the 20th of January was -7.7, following a minimum of beneath -16 degrees. So let's go through that day then. There it is. The reason it's so cold, I would imagine, is that we've got lots of snow from those earlier Easters piled up across particularly southern and eastern parts of the country. Now the isobars are opening out, so very light winds over a deep pool of very cold air. Look at the upper air temperatures. Actually, my intense outside treating a little bit. But, you know, we've got a very cold air that has been established for several days. In fact, for the past couple of weeks, we've been under consistent very cold air, piling up the snow from those easterly winds as well. And so with those light winds, with the snow cover, with the cold pool on the surface that has deeply established itself, we find, you know, that we get those extremely cold temperatures with a maximum of just -7 on this day in London. So if it's that in London, it makes you wonder what it would have been like in outlying areas in the countryside in the sticks. You know, perhaps some places staying around -8, -9 all day in a few places. Extremely and exceptionally cold spell of weather this. Now, this is the 21st of January. It looks like we're going to try and warm things up. Air pressure started coming from off the Atlantic. The Scandinavian high beginning to retreat a little bit back to Western Russia, but still pretty high with that pressure at 1,050 millibars. How are the upper air temperatures looking? So it's starting to bring up a milder sector from the southwest, and this is the sort of thing, particularly in this era, that might have produced like an ice event, an ice storm, or freezing rain. So that's the 22nd of December, of January, I should say. Generally looking mild with those upper air temperatures. Anywhere in this yellow area, remember, when the upper air temperature goes above 0 degrees, anywhere in that yellow area, it cannot snow. It can only rain. But the ground is going to be absolutely frozen solid from how bitterly cold it's been, and also large areas of snow cover. So I do wonder whether this could have been an ice event. This looks classic to me for a little bit of an ice event. If anybody knows whether, like, 21st, 22nd of January 1838 yielded an ice event, freezing rain, across England and Wales in particular, probably not for Ireland. I think there it would have just been rain and probably snow up across Scotland. But anyway, if anybody knows whether this yielded an ice event, please let me know. Now, that's the 23rd of December. The high pressure's fighting back again over Scandinavia, so winds will begin to shift that round to an easterly once more, and here we go again. We're back into cold easterlies, and once more that -10 Celsius iceberg is back onto the east coast. So maybe there was a temporary thaw around the 21st, 22nd of January. More likely, I imagine, it was an ice event, though, and the temperature probably stayed very cold. And then we're back into the easterlies again, actually, as we go into the last week of January. Once more, that blocking high pressure to the north and northeast pulls the wind back around to the east. Upper air temperature bring that puddle of -10 HPA air in from the east, and once more there'll be snow showers coming in with those easterly winds again. That's the 26th to 27th of January. Very slack gradients now, with like a flabby low developing across the west of Europe. Upper air temperatures, though, are still cold, and this low possibly brings some very heavy snow into more southern parts of the country. That's the 28th of January, so lower pressure developing to the south into the southwest. Upper air temperatures remain cold, except in the south, where it looks like it's getting less cold. I reckon that's probably a significant snow event that's going on there around the 27th, 28th of December, particularly focused on England and Wales. What an incredible January this was. We come towards the end of this sub-zero CET January, still looking cold, to be honest. We're still generally blocked, although the Scandinavian high is much reduced. We're generally still blocked, and, you know, with an abnormal and unusual setup. The -5 Celsius iceberg has retreated back northwards a little bit, but we still remain in fundamentally a very blocked, very cold, and very wintry looking setup as we get to the end of January 1838. Remember, that January had a central in temperature of -1.5. The only January, I think, in the 20th century that was colder than that was the daddy of cold winters and cold Januaries in 1963. So maybe 1940 would have got close to that, but I think 1940 just ever so slightly, less cold than that. I think 1940 was at -1.4. Anyway, somebody will know in the comments, I'm sure. Right, well, let's go through to February. Now, all I've got for February is central temperature, and this is another cold month, not sub-zero, but it has a central temperature of just 0.4 degrees, so this is a severely cold winter. Despite the mild December, put January at -1.5, together with February at just plus 0.4, almost a sub-zero CET February as well. Put them together, and this is a proper severe cold winter that we've got here, despite the mild start. Let's see what happens in February then. So we start under an area of high pressure. Will still be very cold down on the surface, lots of snow cover, and we are in fact still within -5 Celsius isotherm. Anyway, high pressure dominates in the weather through the opening days of February, 1,030 millibars, probably bringing lots of really harsh overnight frost and fog under that area of high pressure. Upper air temperatures are still cold, We've still got the -10 Celsius isotherm there on the 4th of February into that southeastern corner. So, that's a very cold area of high pressure, undoubtedly, with lots and lots of frost going on. But it is quieter. There's no snow happening with this particular area of high pressure. So the first week of February, very cold, very frosty, probably lots of freezing fog, and just an extension, really, of the brutally cold January. So for February starts bringing layer pressure in from off the Atlantic. Upper air temperature becoming milder. This could be our first push of genuinely mild air for over a month. I think, that interruption around the 21st, 22nd of January looks to me like it probably didn't produce much of a way of mild air, except in the far south and southwest, and more likely freezing rain. This is a genuine push of milder air, I think, that we have here on the 7th of February. No, this is the mildest weather potentially that we've had since the new year of 1838. But not going to last all that long. Look at this, so low pressure is moving through the country, and winds are going back into the north and to the northeast behind it. So by the 9th of February, we're going into a very cold north or northeast wind. Now, through this winter so far, through the January anyway, it was very, very easterly, which means that Scotland probably missed out on much of the coldest of the weather, and I would have thought definitively missed out on lots of the snow events that would have been happening further southwards. This should begin to even things up, though, because now with the winds shifting round into a much colder north or northeasterly, see the -10 Celsius isotherm, instead of coming in from the east, as it was in January, is now coming down from the north. That means Scotland starts to join in with the fun, and so snow starts piling in from the north into Scotland. All areas looking very cold there on the 10th of February 1838, with a big low pressure centre Scandinavia, and again winds coming in from a really cold northerly direction. Check out the upper air temperatures. My 10 Celsius isotherm is back across the country, but this time it's back in from the north rather than from the east. I would imagine there's still snow even getting down into the south, though, because this is a sustained and long-lasting northerly wind. But it would be particularly for Scotland where the snow would be piling up with these northerlies. That's the 13th of February into mid-month, and again upper air temperatures are looking bitterly cold through the country. Probably the snow risk easing off a little bit as we start to get this ridge through the country, so that probably eases off the snow, but it will be very, very cold, with further severe overnight frost. That's Valentine's Day of 1838, 14th of February, again bitterly cold air across the country with that -10 Celsius isotherm. 15th to the 16th of February, looks like the Atlantic's going to have a go to getting in. Winds are coming in from an east to southeasterly direction direction. Upper air temperatures starting to try and drag some milder air up from the southwest, but cold air still well and truly established across the country. It does look like battle lines drawn type scenario. Now, probably a significant snow event as this milder air is trying to come up from the southeast around the middle part of February. Upper air temperatures show the coldness of the air beginning to retreat away to the north. But look at this, 18th of February, the ridge starts to reform. 19th of February, high pressure is sitting over to the east of the country, bring the wind in from a southerly or a southeasterly direction. Upper air temperature is not that cold, but you have to think that we've had weeks and weeks and weeks of very cold weather across most of northern Europe. It's been severely cold. We would have snow absolutely piled up across much of northern Europe as well. So these southeasterly winds, well, that's not bringing in all that much cold air. From an upper air temperature perspective, I reckon they would be delivering low-level, very cold air from the continent. We're into the third week of the month now. Again, we are trying to bring some low pressure in from off the Atlantic, but still looking pretty cold, especially into more northern and eastern regions. Let's get to the end of this February and the end of this winter. Low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. That brings some milder air in with it, so becoming a little bit less cold again around the 24th of February under this area of low pressure. Will we get the cold air back in? Well, we get to month's end and the low starting to shift southwards again, and we're starting to pull back in colder air in the north. So you see, February's much more flimsier compared to January in terms of, you know, whether we're cold or whether we're mild. But overall, this is still a very blocked, cold setup. Overall, higher pressure still to the north, to much less degree than it was in January, but still to the north, with low pressure to the south. Again, that's probably a slow event through large portions of central Britain anyway. This low pressure down in the south will probably bring rain to the south coast, but if you think now where the M4 would be, north of that, probably significant snow through Wales and the Midlands. That looks like a pretty decent channel low that we've got going on there. That's the final day of this severely cold winter, 28th of February, under that shallow area of low pressure. Again, the cold air just beginning to retreat back northwards again. So perhaps the rain starting to turn back, the snow starting to turn back to rain down in the south. March had a central England temperature of 4.9, which is pretty cold. April at 6.1, that's pretty cold as well. May's central England temperature was 10.5, but much less interesting spring compared to 1837. So that was the coldest spring, of course. We covered that in last Christmas's historic video. That's the coldest spring on CET record. I don't think we'll cover that for this one. I think we're going to end it there. What a winter we had in 1838. That is what a severely cold and sub-zero January looks like, everyone. As I say, the last time we had one of those, I was 2 years, 3 months, and I'm 47 now. So that is how long it's been we've had a January like that. We did get pretty close in January 1985 and again in January 1987. And January 2010 was really cold as well, with a central England temperature of about plus 1.4, I think. But it's been a long time since we've had a sub-zero CET January. Could it happen? Well, December 2010 tells us that it can. You know, that's only 14 years ago. If we get the right synoptics, we can still get a sub-zero CET winter month. It could happen in January. Whether it will be January 2025, we'll have to wait and see. But one of these years it'll happen. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for spending this time with me on this Christmas Day. As I'm always blown away that people want to spend their precious time, you know, with me and with GavsWeatherVids on Christmas Day. So, thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, then please give us a like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. We hope you're having a lovely Christmas Day. I hope it's a Christmas Day that you wanted. I hope it's a Christmas day of your dreams. You know, whatever's left of it, whenever you're watching this on this Christmas day, you know, I hope you're having a lovely time, and I hope you enjoy what is left of your Christmas day. Thank you so much to Richard Traut, for the Christmas Day gift. Thank you so much, my friend. I love it. And we'll end it there. The videos will be back tomorrow. We're going to have a 6 a.m. broadcast, and I'll try and get a 10 to 14 day done for Boxing Day as well. You enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. And for this one, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas day, and bye for now.